Welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to explain you about test approach. By seeing this video, you will understand how to prepare a test approach for any testing project. Also, you can use this as a template for preparing test approach document. What is test approach? Test approach will provide the strategy for the test plan differing depending on the level of test plan. For example, a unit test plan will go into much detail on individual unit tests and test data. The approach stated should be appropriate and in agreement with all higher and lower levels of test plans. The information on testing techniques and methodologies will be included in the test approach document. Topics to be covered as part of test approach document: application functionality, application interfaces, testing strategy, scope of testing, different levels of testing, test design strategy, test execution strategy, test data setup, test environment setup, hardware environments, software environments, test completion criteria, and critical success factors. Application functionality. Application functionality section will provide both in scope and out of scope. Under in scope, we need to list out all the key functional areas that are under the scope of testing. Under out of scope, we need to highlight the exclusions identified for the project. Next section in the test approach document is application interfaces. Under this section, we need to provide the details of application and programs that are required for the testing. Section in the test approach document is test strategy. Under this section, we need to mention the scope of each test type, details of order of test run, and responsibility for each type of testing. Next section in the test approach document is scope and level of testing. Testing approach will be based on the review of business processes, study of application customization, interfaces, and product environment. For application testing, we need to provide the scope and level of testing. Few of the list are test cycles and levels, functional testing, system integration testing, performance testing, regression testing, user acceptance testing, point of failure testing, failover testing, and security testing. Next section in the test approach document is test design strategy. I will explain this section in detail so that you will understand how to prepare a design strategy. The test case strategy is to derive test cases from a scenario. The test cases shall be analyzed in a work group session with subject matter experts. In the working session, we will analyze the business and technical requirements and creating real-world user scenarios that will encompass back-end processes also. In the working session, the test cases will be prioritized and streamlined. Once the scenario is developed, it will be documented in a test case matrix document that will be used to track the business requirement, the test scenario, the system, and the test data. The development will be scenario based and will be driven primarily by the functionality supported by application. The knowledge of the supporting components will be used to increase the completeness of the test cases by incorporating the component specific features and exceptions. Test cases will be written for business functions, business validations, business rules, and boundary conditions. A business process comprises of a set of functions or transactions that defines a requirement of the system. This would span across users with different roles and potentially could span across departments. It is also called as business scenario. Test cases are variations within business function. A business scenario is a string of test cases across the required business functions. The design is accomplished using a top-down approach for obtaining the main scenarios and enhancing them with a detailed analysis of the business functions and the complex variations in them. These form the static view of the test design or test specification. The view during execution is the dynamic view and consists of mapping the scenarios to test cycles and business cycles. A test cycle is a macro level control period to assess the quality of the system and the test, whereas business cycles help understand the progress of the scenarios from business perspective. A test cycle consists of various business cycles for a process. The test cases are run at different point of time over different test cycles. Next section in the test approach document is types of testing techniques. Testing approach has two techniques, top-down approach and bottom-up approach. Top-down approach. Testing happens from top to bottom. That is, high-level modules are tested first and then low-level modules are tested. Finally, the low-level modules are incorporated into a high-level module to confirm that the framework is working as expected. Bottom-up approach. Testing happens from low level to the high level. The lowest level modules are tested first and then high level modules tested. Finally, the high level modules are coordinated to a low level modules to confirm that the framework is working as expected. Next section in the test approach document is test execution strategy. We can define the test execution strategy in 4 stages. Stage 1. Unit and integration testing will be performed by the development team. The graphical user interface checklist will be supplied to the testing team and the same will be reviewed by the respective stakeholders. Here, unit testing done at functional level. Stage 2. Sanity testing or smoke testing will be performed by the testing team. Stage 3. System testing will be performed by the testing team. The system testing will be approached from the business rules angle. And the last, stage 4. Compatibility testing, performance testing, security testing and other testing types will be performed. Execution strategy section includes the details of test schedule, testing sequence, test cycles and other execution planning details. Next section in the test approach document is test data setup. Test data will be created either by the client organization or by the development team and will be verified by testing team. Each test case must clearly identify the reference and transactional data required for the test case to run. The maintenance of reference data in UAT environments would be the responsibility of client organization. And also, we need to define how the test data will be created for doing the testing. It might be in any of the below options. 1. Test data can be manually handcrafted. Next, the test data can extract from the production environment. And the last is using tool to generate test data. Next section in the test approach document is test environment setup. This section needs to include sufficient detail for advanced planning of the test environments. Full detail will be included later in the test plans. For each test stage, details of the environment to be used should be provided together with any amendments or upgrades needed to be done to the environment before testing can commence. Hardware, software and network requirements should be detailed and any environmental constraints should be listed. If known, the required frequency of backups should be given in this section. Procedures for implementing patches or fixes to code can also be included. The following aspects need to be noted for the type of environments required. 1. The environments that can test functions independently. 2. The environments that can test end-to-end processes including interfaces. And 3. The last, the environment to test performance of the application and its availability requirements. Next section in the test approach document is hardware environments. This section should provide the test environments that are proposed to support the testing. And also in this section, the environment typology and migration path between environments will be provided. Table shown below is an example for collecting the test environment setup details. Enter a row for each test phase, but note that some test phases may share an environment. And also, some components may be shared by different environments. Next section in the test approach document is software environment. This section should provide a framework for software release processes from development to test phases. This approach will also assist the team to manage the fixes through all testing phases of the program. Procedures will be put in place to manage cross-release fixes. Next section in the test approach document is test completion criteria. Software testing for a given release will be considered to be complete when the following conditions have been met. Sign off of test cases. All test cases defined for the release have been reviewed by the appropriate stakeholders and signed off. Execution of the test. All test transactions have been executed successfully at least once. And the last is closure of outstanding problems. All problems found during the testing process have been reviewed, closed, or deferred by the management agreement. The last section in the test approach document is critical success factors. To support delivery of tested software that meets its success or completion criteria, the critical success factors for the testing should be mentioned in this section. For example, a well-trained team deployed across the project locations. Effective communication channel. With this, we conclude our today's session test approach topic. We will connect again with you in our next topic, test strategy. Thank you for watching our channel.